Welcome, everybody. I'm Kevin. This is Jack. Welcome to the Rare Humans podcast. We are so excited. We are on episode 1. We're going to talk about how to live a high performance life with a complex biology. So, all of you that have autoimmune, we are some of the rarest humans on earth. We're going to talk about our story and our struggles and how we live life at peak performance. This is my friend Jack. He is another rare human just like me. And Jack, how did we meet? How did this all come about?
Yeah, sure. So, hey guys, I am a type 1 diabetic. I am hypothyroid and I have Addison's disease. Three chronic autoimmune conditions where the immune system is eating these glands, organs, and destroying them. First, the adrenal glands, which is Addison's disease. Second is the thyroid gland, which is hypothyroidism. Third is the pancreas, is diabetes. Kevin and I both have these three chronic health issues together called polyglandular autoimmune disorder type 2. A very rare subset of the population have this chronic health trio. The long and short of it, I created a website. On my website was my story. And Kevin reached out in the chat box and said, "Hey, man, I have all the same health issues that you do." And Kevin and I, we'd start chatting once a week for an hour. And I do have two brothers by blood, but Kevin is my soul brother. Like, we have so much that we share in our day to day, trying to optimize and thrive. Yeah, I'm happy to now say I have a third brother.
Yeah, first episode. Jack and I have been working
Yeah.
on this for a while. Jack's an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. We're both in the health world. Jack is making a massive a splash in Canada and moving into the US, and our businesses are thriving. So what we want to talk about, because here's what we find. When you have an autoimmune, let's say you have hypothyroidism, let's say you're a type 1 diabetic, let's say you have Addison's disease, which is an autoimmune of the adrenals. There's you kind of get stuck in that little bubble. And I think for us, because we have all of them, we can share how to thrive as a human at the highest performance possible. Right?
Yeah.
I know people with Addison's disease, they just lay in bed all day and they can barely work. Jack
Yeah.
and I have all three, and we're successful. Jack's, going to be married soon. I've been married 23 years. I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Obviously Jack is younger, even though I probably look younger than Jack. Um,
I love
Jack's
you.
Canadian. I'm in the U.S. We're bridging the gap here.
Yeah.
There are no tariffs in our Jack and our relationship. Like
No, nothing but love,
we're
nothing but
connected. It's
appreciation
all
for one
love.
another.
So,
It's
so
funny,
I've never even met someone that has Addison's disease, let alone all three. So Jack and I, we share a very rare biology. So we want to really talk every time we do a podcast on how to really thrive in a specific way. Today, we're going to tell our stories. We're going to keep it simple, and we're going to talk about how this journey started for us, okay? Because all of us have a
Yeah.
story of our journeys of our health. So, Jack, you want to kind of start on how this all began, what age, and go from there?
Yeah, sure. Just I want to piggyback on what you were saying earlier, though.
Yes.
You know, you and I have all these illnesses, diseases, and we therefore really have to dial in to our health and wellness to just get by every day. But, all of these same levers that you and me are pulling by necessity, we all can pull, and I think we all can just hit it harder. We can be better athletes, we can be better students, we can be better, in whatever we decide we want to do with our lives. We can do that better if we follow the guidance that you and I have to follow every day, but we don't do it by choice. So
Well said.
yeah. Type 1 diabetic, diagnosed when I was 2. I was born in Montreal in Canada. And yeah, the nurse basically said to my mother, "Jack can eat whatever he wants to eat. He doesn't have to be any different." I think that was very wrong of her to say, and just, I'm not faulting her. It was the understanding at the time. But no, for somebody like me who's a type 1 diabetic, I very much do have to pay attention to what I'm eating. In fact, we all need to pay attention to what we're eating. When we see the metabolic state of the world, that's just a reflection of how we're eating and how it's not really working with us. So, I diagnosed when I was 2, ate whatever my friends were eating, which was like a lot of ultra processed foods, a lot of high carbohydrate foods, and as a diabetic, So diabetes is where your pancreas, type 1 diabetes, which Kevin and I have, your pancreas is dead. So it doesn't produce the hormone insulin. Insulin is the hormone that takes the carbohydrates that turn into glucose in your bloodstream and then can utilize those as energy. Ours don't produce it at all. So we either have way too much sugar in our blood, or we don't have enough sugar in our blood, or we have just enough, like the perfect amount, which is really hard to come by. That takes a lot of dialing in on the day to day. It's, I have a full time job. I have two full time jobs actually because I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm always focused on my diabetes.
Yep.
So I was diagnosed hypothyroid when I was 15, and I'm pretty sure it's just, I was in such a state of inflammation growing up to 15 years old because of high blood sugars. And then I was in such a state of kind of like depressed, helpless, like feeling really crummy about myself when my blood sugars were low, that it was just a cascade of my body was going through hell until I was 15. And then it finally just conked out and it said, oh, and then it took the thyroid gland, and then diagnosed thyroid when I was 15. Honestly, like I can't remember that point in my life. It's all a blur. Like I wasn't in great health at all. I got a pill given to me when I was diagnosed hypothyroid for hypothyroidism. I took it every day. That's basically was that. At that point in my life, I was, 15 turning into 16. I chose a group of friends in high school. We smoked a lot of pot. We drank a lot of alcohol. I started smoking cigarettes. I started, going out to nightclubs and partying, and it is what it is. Like hindsight 2020, I was doing that to cope with all of my chronic health issues. I didn't know it at the time, but I wasn't in a good place and I wanted to escape and I wanted to. And so, yeah, I started using substances. When I was 20, I was in my second year university. And at that point, I had begun self medicating with ADHD medication stimulants because, and I don't know when I got diagnosed with the Addison's disease, but so hypothyroid, just to back up a second, the thyroid gland is basically the conductor for all of the organs and a lot of processes in your body. So, you've got a conductor and an orchestra, and without them, the orchestra wouldn't know what to do and when to do it. It's the same thing with the thyroid. If your thyroid gland is underproducing, same with your body. Your body's just like, well, I'm not sure what to do right now, so it needs that guidance. With Addison's disease, your adrenal glands go out, and adrenal glands produce cortisol, adrenal glands produce aldosterone. Cortisol is like the stress hormone. A lot of people, you hear like, oh, I have adrenal fatigue. It's like my adrenal glands are so overtaxed in today's society with trying to keep up with stresses that they just like they have to chill. Like they take a beat, but you're not, as a human body you can't take a beat, and so they try to find ways to give themselves um to re-energize their adrenals. Kevin and I's adrenals are dead. They don't produce any cortisol, any aldosterone. We have to take steroid replacements day in and day out, just to give ourselves the cortisol and the aldosterone we need. I mean, we can get into gut health because we're basically throwing, um, you know, stimulants into our gut every day to give ourselves cortisol as steroids. So, anyways, Addison's disease. I think I had it probably for 3 or 4 years before I was diagnosed. It could have been even longer, but I
Right.
had gotten onto these, hindsight 2020. I had gotten onto to Adderall to give myself the energy to get through each day, to study for exams, and just to kind of be present in life. And I'm realizing now I had no cortisol. That's exactly why, they came in such handy. My blood sugars were always crashing, going really low. I was a candy addict at that point in my life. Eating candy to give myself blood sugar control. Again, this was such a haze. Like I just so don't remember a lot of this that like take it for what it is. But I woke up one morning, or should I say, I didn't wake up one morning, um, close to the end of my second year of university, and thank God I had a bunch of roommates. They called an ambulance. Ambulance brought me to the hospital. They filled me with an IV, and they said, you partied too hard last night. Go home, take it easy. Don't be such a fool. Okay, oh, sure. Yeah, I'm lights out. I go back home, um, go to bed at like 8:30 p.m. that night, and I had a seizure that night, fell out of my bed, hit my head, And again, thank God I had roommates because they found me on the floor, brought me back to the hospital, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's you again. Must not just be that you party too hard." And it was then that they, it took I think 3 weeks of being in the hospital for them to diagnose me as with Addison's disease.
So you were 3 weeks in the hospital?
Yeah, I was a
Wow.
while.
How old were
I'm
you?
20.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mother arrived at the hospital and she's like, "Hey Jack." I'm like, "Hey Ma, how you doing?" She's like, "Who is this? This isn't my son."
Because
I was,
Addison's is like being on death's door. I mean, I think that's the one that'll kill you the quickest is the adrenals.
yeah, fair. She was like, "I
It
don't
was
know who
funny.
this is. This isn't my son." Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So it took a lot of time because I forget what exactly it was. We'd have to ask my mom, but
Jack, how
um,
old are you now?
I'm 32.
32. Yeah, so that was 12
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, yeah. And so fast forward to when I was 25, 20 to 25 were really, really difficult years of like trying to situate myself with these new medications that I was taking, trying to like find a balance between eating well, working out. Um, and then when I was 25, I met a girl, fell in love. She is a chiropractor. We moved in together because of COVID. And she's like, "Jack, of all people, you need to be eating low carb. It's going to help you control your blood sugar levels." And I said, "You know what? I got nothing to lose and everything to gain. F it, let's do it." I did, and man, changed my life. And I'm in a place now where I'm thriving. Like I'm mentally in a really
How
good
did I
spot.
not know she's a chiropractor? I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
that. You never
Sorry.
even told me that.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Score.
yeah.
Big
So
score.
yeah. Well, we're not together anymore.
Oh,
we've we've been split for 3 years. We
yeah.
still love each other. It is what it
So
is.
that's why I
But
didn't know because it was
yeah,
live.
yeah.
See, we're
But
going live here, people. We're having
yeah.
we're having moments. We're like, wait, your girlfriend, your fiance is a chiropractor? No, no, that was the ex-girlfriend. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Jack,
Yeah.
it started at 2 years old,
Yeah.
and then you were 17 and then 20. Is that
15 to
right?
20. Yeah.
15 and 20.
Yeah.
So my story, thankfully, I didn't
Yeah.
have to do what Jack did at 2 years old. I got Addison's at 17. It actually almost killed me.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jack, I had it kind of developing for a couple years.
Hmm.
The fatigue was crazy. Now, here's what I'll tell you. Working in the health industry and functional health for a long time, here's what I realized what happened. And this is a good thing to think about for all of you. I had a bunch of amalgam fillings in my mouth, which is the silver fillings. I had a bunch of cavities when I was a kid. And when they drilled those out, that mercury exposure flooded my body with mercury.
Mm.
And your pituitary is what commands the endocrine system, powered by the hypothalamus. So the um, the pituitary got flooded with mercury, and we know now that the heavy metals can cross the blood-brain barrier. Okay, and what happened is it made everything kind of dysfunction. I had a lot of fatigue. It started with the adrenals. So
Hmm.
when I went in to the hospital, I was on death's door. They thought I had every disease imaginable. Does he have AIDS? Does he have, leukemia? And the endocrinologist walked in the room and knew right away it was Addison's. Now, I couldn't even sit up. I was 132 pounds. I looked like a skeleton, and that was a big, big change. But with Addison's, you take a pill, right? It's not like type 1 where you're injecting and getting low and getting high and it affects every second of every day. Although Jack and I probably talk the most about Addison's because we're always shifting and adding things and you know uh, uh, because that's the thing we can't really control, whereas diabetes we know what our blood sugars are.
Yeah.
So I had that, and 28 years old I got type 1 diabetes. So type 1, Jack had it too. I got it 28, so I was really lucky. I didn't have to go through puberty. I didn't have to go through all those years of being embarrassed by it, being different. No one even knew I really had Addison's, except I was a lot tanner than most people. um, that
I
was
think it was a benefit.
yeah, it was a benefit.
You look good.
I'm in Southern California, Jackson, Canada, so I'm surfing. I'm in the ocean, so I'm tan because of that. But I always had like a hue to me. But type 1 was the biggest life changer ever because
Hmm.
I call it the 24-hour disease. You never get a break. There is no break. There is no vacation. You need to know what your blood sugars are at all times. So if you get too low, you can go into a diabetic coma. right? If you get too high, you can feel really terrible. Like right now, Jack can probably pull it up on his. I'm 104. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Want to be, right?
Nice. Have you eaten
So
yet today? Are you still
now I'm
fasting?
fasting. It's only 9:40.
Yeah.
So
That's the vacation from when you wake up
yeah,
to when you stop break your
yeah.
fast.
Until you break your fast and your blood sugars start rising, and you got cortisol in there, and
Yeah.
oftentimes I won't even eat till like noon because it's a nice vacation, like Jack said, right?
Yeah.
Now back in the day, we didn't have the vacation we have now. Our insulin pump or our didn't talk to our CGM. So for me, my continuous glucose monitor and pump are talking to each other. So that's something that's specific. Jack still injects like a caveman, but he's got really good control. So we all kind of do it a little bit different. Now, right when I went in and I became a type 1, the endocrinologist said, "Hey, your thyroid's failing as well." He handed me a prescription for the levothyroxine or whatever it was, and
Yeah,
it
it's
was
desiccated pig's thyroid. That's
yeah.
what we take.
So for me, I was like, I made a commitment right there that I was going to get as clean and healthy as possible and try to keep this in normal range because your thyroid can kind of go in and out. Now, when Jack
Mm.
says the pancreas and thyroid are not producing, what he means is the body's autoimmune response has kicked in and destroyed its own organ. So both of us, our adrenals, first for me, Jack, it was the pancreas, our body turned on itself
Hmm.
like it was a foreign invader and destroyed it. So our pancreases are still working, but what's not working is the isolate cells on our pancreas are not producing insulin anymore. Our adrenals are still working, or we wouldn't have adrenaline, but the outer cortex of our adrenals were destroyed enough that we don't make cortisol and aldosterone anymore. Okay. And then thyroid, same thing. So the point being is that both of us share a very rare biology, and we deal with more than 99.99% of people health wise, yet we still thrive. Why? That's what we're going to talk about in these episodes, right? We have a positive mindset. We're very focused and meticulous. When people are sleeping, Jack and I are up eating a bowl of cereal at 2 in the morning because our blood sugars are low, right? Like our lives are different. It's survival, but you can survive and thrive at the highest human biology. So, Jack,
Oh yeah.
because I know we've been talking for a little while now, tell me, we're not even 20 minutes in, but Jack, tell the audience, tell people some of the things you've been doing lately that's been a needle mover for some
Yeah,
things you deal with.
sure. So one of the biggest non-negotiables for me is physical activity. I try to lift weights, and I have this battle in my head about this, like cardio versus weights, what's better? I'm a huge advocate of lifting weights because that turns your muscles into sinkholes for glucose,
Yep.
improves your insulin sensitivity. You know, I've seen a lot of marathon runners and I look at their bodies and I think, Christ, that does not look healthy. No diss to all the marathon runners out there. You know, I I love that high that you get from sports. So I can only imagine when you're dialed in like that and pushing. Like it must just be an incredible experience. But I'm a huge advocate for lifting weights. I try to lift weights 3, 4 times a week. Um, I play a lot of tennis. Try to play like 2, 3 times, 4 times a week tennis. So like I'm always moving, always kind of pushing my nervous system to the limit when it comes to physical activity, but then also sleeping well is huge. Like if I'm not sleeping well, I wear a Whoop. So I know where I'm at in terms of my heart rate variability, how well I've slept, and how primed I am for physical activity the next day. If I have a really poor recovery on my Whoop because I've slept poorly, then I probably won't work out as hard that day.
Yep.
Because that'll just
That
just
biofeedback is huge for Jack.
yeah. Yeah, well said. Biofeedback. No, it's you're digging the hole at that point. Like if you keep working out and you keep like sacrificing sleep, you're not doing yourself any good.
Especially for our adrenals, right, Jack? So
Yeah,
if we're not recovered and our body's not primed and ready and we go extra hard, we could go into some serious dangerous areas with our adrenals. So
yeah,
Jack and I talk a lot about that cortisol and the fludrocortisone when for our Addisons, like upping it, dialing it down, like things we're always biohacking and looking at the data. And something Jack and I have been talking about lately is electrolytes, right? And I'll talk to people because I'm in the health world, and they're like, I always feel dizzy, I get cramps and all that. And I said, well, yeah, because are you drinking a lot of water? And they're always like, yeah, I drink a lot of water. And I always say, you've been lied to,
Hmm.
right? You've been told as a hunter or gatherer, right, that you just walked around drinking water all day. Show me any tribe in the world that sits around with a freaking cup of water with their little hydro and it's like meh, meh, all day long. It's the most opposite to our biology known to man, but yet that's what we talk about.
Hmm.
People believe it.
So true.
So water's great, but when you're a hunter gatherer, you get water, you fill up, you hydrate, and then you move on. You move on to the hunt, you're gathering. You're not in the middle of a 5-hour hunt sipping water. I'm sorry. You're just not, right? So you're going to
So well
fill your
said.
storage a couple times a day. But in our society, because we have it completely wrong, we flush so much electrolytes and we're already low on magnesium. A lot
Yeah.
of us walk around with heart palpitations, cramping in our leg. We have fatigue. So Jack and I, because we have Addison's disease and it affects our salt, how much we crave salt, especially on days when
Oh,
Jack plays 2 hours of tennis, how much our body is just craving salt. So
yeah.
Jack, electrolytes, I know you've really been dialing it in the last handful of months. Like, how has that affected you, and what would you say that's done for you?
Oh, yeah. Without electrolytes, if I'm like really pushing it, and even if I'm not really pushing it, like I stopped drinking coffee because coffee does not bode well with me. But electrolytes have essentially become my new coffee. Like if I'm electrolyte properly, I have so much energy and I have yeah, peace of mind. Like and it's funny, I have a friend who has an electrolyte company and he does I think it's like 2-2-1 or 2-1-1 sodium, potassium, magnesium. That's
Hmm.
the ratio, two
I like
one
them.
one.
I like them heavier on the sodium as well.
I'm like 6-1-1.
Yeah.
And it's, when you've got too much salt in your body has a funny way of telling you, like you drink something that is really salty and your body doesn't need it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
no, I don't want that. Spit it out. But when I'm going 6-1-1 and I'm drinking it and it tastes like an elixir of life. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
this is amazing. So it's
I love
so
salt
funny.
heavy electrolytes. It's a game changer.
Oh yeah, it's incredible, and it's funny. Like I'll have like I just buy it myself. I'll buy sodium, potassium,
You make
magnesium.
it.
Yeah, I make it myself. So as to not, I don't want to
Six
be
to hack.
sucking back. Yeah, I don't want to be sucking back artificial sweeteners all day, every day. So, and that's what most brands unfortunately have it, loaded with things to make them taste
Yeah,
good.
you got it. There's only a handful of brands that do it right. One of the things I
Which
do,
ones?
um,
Do you
I
know?
really like RE Light, which is the Redmond salt, sea salt. So
All
Redmond
right,
Sea Salt does one. It's an RE Light. It's
all right,
it's not 100% perfect, but it's about 95% perfect.
cool.
And I really like that. I mean, really, for a long time, the game changer supplement for me was Soleil. I make it. So my natural path is really into salt. So he has
Mm,
this really, really high grade Himalayan pink salt, but it doesn't have all the dirt and mud and metals mixed into it. It's tested, and so
yeah,
he'll sell that in part of his practice. He'll have big bottles. He'll fill it a third of the way full with this extremely expensive, high quality salt, and then he'll fill it with his hydrogen water, whatever he
yeah. I drink hydrogen water every
yeah, he
morning.
owns a water company.
All
And
right,
so you just put a tablespoon into any lemon water or whatever. And I remember that being a game changer product for me like 5 years ago,
cool.
6 years ago. And
Brought you
then
back to life, so to speak,
it
eh?
brought me back to life. And I realized
Yeah.
when you're low on sodium, how crappy you feel.
Oh my
And
God,
for
yeah.
me, because I've had Addison since I was 17 and I'm 47, you don't have to tell me I don't look 47. I already know that.
You don't. You look great.
But 30 years of Addison's disease, I felt like shit for 20 of those years,
Yeah, I bet. Oof.
25 of those years.
I felt
Never
really
felt
crummy for the first like 10 years.
yeah.
Wow.
20 years I felt always fatigued, all
Yeah.
drinking too much water,
What
heart
is wrong with me? Why
low
do I
blood
feel
pressure,
this way? Is this the way life is supposed to be? Like,
anxiety because you have low blood
uh,
pressure. Terrible,
yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
So electrolytes has been a game changer. And then
yeah,
Jack and I talk about our doses. We're not doctors, so we can't give medical advice, but those are things
no.
we talk about, right? Diabetes, right? Like diabetes is easy, right? Jack was saying you get low, you get a little sugar in you, you get high, you take a little insulin, but it can get exhausting.
Oh my God, it's
Get
exhausting. And yeah,
exhausting.
it's easy, but it's not easy at all, you know. And then it's tough because like you throw in hydrocortisone and you throw in fludrocortisone and your insulin resistance goes up and it's like, okay, so now that amount of insulin that I used to be giving myself, that no longer works to bring down
That's
the
what
amount of
makes our diseases
carbo.
so difficult to manage.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have a really good friend who's a type 1, and I introduced Jack to him, my buddy Cameron,
Yeah, Cam. Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just a type 1, and I'm like, you're
Oh, you
soft,
have it
Cameron.
so
Like, you're not even
good.
man. Like, type 1,
Yeah,
what? Who cares? Like, add Addison's disease, add the thyroid. Like,
yeah,
a whole different game.
yeah.
He'll go eat pancakes with syrup. I'm like, how do you do that? I would die.
Yeah, yeah. It's so hard to control. It's so hard. I would love to know what Cameron's blood sugars go up to. Like, we're not perfect, and like I am never expecting a totally flat curve.
Yeah.
But like even when I have eggs and when I have like my breakfast in the morning is like seed crackers, so very low carb, eggs, and then a couple of sausages, and like my blood sugars will still spike. Granted, there's a lot less insulin on board, so there's a lot less room for error. But
But you
like with
also take
pancakes and
cortisol.
syrup, yeah, I have to take cortisol, correct. But like pancakes and syrup, Christ. And like this is stepping out of the diabetes for a second. The insulin load that a regular person has to take on for pancakes and maple syrup is insane. And that's another one of these, like, we have all these health issues so that we have no choice. We have to do it. Like, we see how much insulin we're giving ourselves, and then we're looking at Johnny over in the booth next door at Denny's, and we're saying, "Christ,
They don't
you're
even
taking a
realize.
lot of
They don't
insulin."
even realize, and
Yeah,
that's how they build insulin resistance too, right? They get
yeah.
an inflammatory response. The cells stop pulling in the insulin like they used to. They become resistant, and we say, "Oh, I'm a type 2 diabetic," and it's like, well, no, you're
I
insulin
don't know
resistant.
why.
Turn it around. You can turn it around, right? You got to lower
Yeah,
inflammation, eat whole foods, things like that.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, Zach, I'll have to share with you my recipe for my sweet potato pancakes that I do with
All right,
sourdough. They ferment overnight.
all right.
I do
Cool.
it with
Yeah, I'm down.
einkorn flour. Have you ever heard of
Drop a link in the podcast notes or however that
We'll
works.
put a link in the podcast. Jack, have
Yeah.
you ever heard of einkorn flour? EINK, corn flour.
No, I haven't.
It's one of like the flours that was around during like Bible times. Like because a lot of our wheat is hybridized and to grow faster and blah 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 blah. They're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
full
yeah.
of glyphosate and garbage and all that. You don't deal with it in Canada as much as we do here. But
Understood.
but
Einkorn.
yeah, einkorn, and you go to Whole Foods, whatever. So I'll use a wheat einkorn, no glyphosate free, super clean, super digestible, and then I'll ferment it with my sourdough starter overnight, and then I'll make it super high protein and add sweet potatoes. And
Cool. All
literally,
right.
it still spikes my blood sugar,
Yeah.
but you cook that with some grass-fed butter and maybe put some raw honey on top at a light dusting. When you're down here,
Cool.
Jack, I'll make them for you.
Yeah. Okay. Done deal.
You're
Nice.
coming down in Mayish or something, right?
Yeah. Coming down to Christ in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll
By the
see
way,
you
everyone,
soon.
we're trying to get Jack to say Christ less, so we'll pray for him
Yeah.
and we'll deal with that one later. He's
Yeah.
Canadian,
My
so
bad. I know.
don't
Sorry, guys.
don't judge him. He's Canadian.
To me, it's like a good bad word. It's like the
Yeah.
lesser of two evils.
It's not
So I
the F
apologize.
word, which we're
Yeah.
definitely trying not to say on this podcast.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, just I guess to wrap,
Yeah.
one of the big things when I started eating low carb, I had somebody to do it with. I had a community to help me figure out how to push forward in a better light.
Yep.
And man, I can't even tell you, Kevin, I feel like it's probably the same for you. The people around you in your life who have helped you get better, I wouldn't be where I am without them. I see insane value in a community. And that's really what Kevin and I are trying to be here is we're trying to be a community for everybody as you're just kind of going along in life and trying to optimize and just trying to figure out anything about everything about anything. we want to be here to advocate for a healthy way of being, and we are always open to hearing your suggestions, to hearing any questions you might have. You know, I have a lot of questions, and Kevin answers them, or my fiance answers them. Really, people close to me, but like, it would be nice every now and again to get a different perspective. So just know that we're here for you. If you have any questions, shoot us a comment. We'd love to hear you and talk to you about it.
Yeah. And Jack,
And
we have
yeah,
an email address, right?
yeah, our email address is somerarehumans@gmail.com.
Some is an SOME, rare humans with an S at Gmail. And then when Jack posts it to his socials, I post it to mine. We'll put that
Yeah,
link in the description for email. Any questions that come up? One of the things that Jack and I realize is that when you deal with these autoimmunes, you can really, really live on an island. And it can be
yeah, it gets
super
lonely.
depressing and very lonely. I always say
Mhm.
type 1 diabetes is one of the loneliest diseases in the world because no one really understands. You're sitting there at 3 in the morning drinking a honey packet or an apple juice that tastes like vomit because you've done it so many times, drinking
Yeah, things that
room
would otherwise
temperature
be
apple
so
juice.
good are so bad.
Yeah, and
Ugh.
drinking room temperature apple juice 1,000 times, and now you can't even smell it. You get the heebie-jeebies. And so Jack and I understand.
Yeah,
Like, we get it. Like, nobody gets it like us because all these biohackers, all these people, they all do the research and they're all wonderful, brilliant
I'm so
people,
grateful to have them in
but
our
they don't
corner. Oh my
live
god.
the life every day. I would rather learn from someone how to win an Olympic gold medal who's won an Olympic gold medal than
Hmm.
someone who's coached people to win Olympic gold medals, right?
Sure.
I like the coaching. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. But the person suffering in the arena is the one you're going to learn the most from. So
Hmm.
Jack and I, we have suffered and we have hacked and we have figured this out. So we live the most optimal lifestyles imaginable, right? We prioritize, like Jack said, our recovery, our sleep. We have non-negotiables. Jack and I do
Yeah.
not allow people that suck energy, negative. That they're not allowed in our lives because it affects our biology so much different than even
Oh
a
my god.
normal person, right?
Yeah.
Like I got to go take more cortisol because I'm dealing with my nut job, someone in my life. So these are
Hmm.
non-negotiables, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about all these on our
I'm
episode.
just thinking about all the different episodes we could do just based on like
We have so many.
tidbits of like what we're talking about right now.
We have
God,
so many.
it's
And
going forever.
but most importantly, we want to normalize these autoimmunes. We want to normalize how to live an optimal life. So we're going
Yeah.
to try to keep the podcast under 45 minutes every time. We're only at 32 minutes. We're going to
Yeah.
keep them
We're doing
clear,
good.
concise. This is only our first one. And we're going to continue these on and have very specific topics to help all of you. So Jack,
Yeah.
episode 1
Kevin,
in the
that's a
books.
wrap. Pleasure, man.
It's a wrap. Great to
Look
see you,
forward
my
to
friend.
doing it again next week.
And we'll see you again next week. All
Ciao.
right, everybody. Cheers.